Small businesses are seeing a ton of new changes on Google. About 40% of low quality sites were removed in the recent update. Is your website next? Stay tuned to learn all the details.
Join us today on the Wired Insights podcast, where we talk about growing your business, from the tech we use to the strategies that make a difference. Whether you're looking to boost your online presence or find new ways to increase profit, you're in the right place. Let's get this show started.
All right, welcome to the Wired Insights podcast. I'm your host today, Nikki Hillman, and today I've got Ryan Brown with me, production manager.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be a part of the show, and I'm really looking forward to talking about this topic. It's been on the hot presses lately, so it's going to be a fun episode.
Awesome. And Manny Argueta, one of our account managers.
Hey, everybody. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So today, the topics that we're covering are the Google updates that local businesses should be caring about, including the deal with Reddit, the helpful content update, and a few other things. So let's just get right into it. First, I wanted to start with the new helpful content update that Google released back in, it's like end of February, but really it took a few weeks to roll out. And so we started seeing a lot of it happen in March. And, you know, the general consensus is low quality spammy sites are just getting completely wiped out. At least that's what I've been reading on the forums and things like that. Brian, you're a production manager. You work with a lot of this stuff. Tell us how we're avoiding some of this spammy content, or what are we doing in our processes to kind of avoid this?
Yeah, AI has been such a great tool for a lot of different reasons. It helps to prompt inspiration. It helps to speed up a lot of things. But the challenge then becomes, how do we discern between real content and between the stuff that's just getting made up and posted out there, really as a part of some type of marketing strategy? So it's meant to be a tool that can be used. And I think as far as using AI, we can still utilize it, but we also have to actually add a heart and soul to all of this and make true, genuine connections with our customers and just people who are looking to seek for more information about the stuff that we're involved with. So in my arena, it's looking at how do we utilize these tools to help speed us up in the areas that can be sped up, but also looking at it from a true heart connection space. Does this actually even make sense? Is this something that I would want to have read in front of me? Or would it actually make sense to put this on the website? You can kind of pick and tell what is being put out there that really doesn't have any real heart and soul to it. So yeah, there's a few things that we're doing over here for our clients, and I would definitely recommend for you doing it in your world of marketing and SEO for your websites as well too. And if you are using AI, I think one of the most important things that we could do is look at the prompts that we're using, because a lot of people will say, well, write a blog article that's 800 characters long and make it in the style and format of such and add links. Well, imagine if you were given that piece of information, what would you come up with? It's probably going to be pretty bland and dull. But if you give it character and you give it life, and you also ask the AI to give you its thoughts and questions on how to improve it, you'd be surprised at what you can actually create with it. So a lot of the strategies that we look at is, what's the tone and voice that you're actually telling the AI to write in? What are some of the characteristics that it would be writing from? So would it be from the company owner's perspective, or maybe it might be from the chief financial officer's perspective? So that also helps to get it to write better content. Lastly, I'll just mention that as we're going through this too, just because we can speed ourselves up in it, it's always good to go take a look at the stuff that's being written, whether it be for your website or a blog or for your social posts, and actually just review it and remodify it. Put your heart and soul back into it, because it's there to help speed you up, not slow you down. But at the end of the day, you got to look at what your customer will be looking at. And most importantly, that's what Google's looking for. It's trying to help us all as users have a better experience and find things that are more relevant to what we're looking for. So yeah, that's my take on it, Nikki, and I'll pass it back over to
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it. The key takeaways that I've learned from just reading through some of the updates and from Google developers is, yeah, they want you to focus on that quality content. Gone are the days of installing a WordPress plugin and getting, 150 pages, 200 pages made with the same content with a different location name. That's the kind of stuff that they have been killing and just de-indexing automatically. And then user experience, like you said, like as a person who you're, as the audience that you're speaking to, does it make sense? Is it readable? Is the paragraphs just like a giant wall of text, or have you broken it up with some imagery and some buttons and some links and some engaging experiences? But not only that, but just being able to go in and say, hey, is like you said, does it make sense? The adjectives, one of the biggest things we see with AI content all the time is there's like a million adjectives to describe something really simple. And it's like humans don't really speak that way. So like you said, taking the human approach, running through it, and just having a real human editor go through it makes all the difference. You can do all the strategy you want, but at the end of the day, Google realizes and sees that people are on TikTok, people are on Facebook or whatever. They're searching in different places, Reddit especially, which we'll get to next. And they want real answers. They're tired of the fluff. So whatever we can do to give them that quality answer that is, what they're looking for in an easy way to find it, I think that's the key thing you should be focused on. And, auditing sites, making changes where you can, and making sure that you have consistent content that, is easy to read and makes sense. So,
Yeah,
awesome.
and one last thing I'll add to that as well too, Nikki, is that I think all of us, when we go to a person's website and we see a guide to, and then somewhere down at the bottom and says in conclusion,
We
we
all
know
know,
that
right?
we know. And so
Yeah,
our user experience is a little diminished as well too, because if you're going to treat your website like that, how are you going to treat me as a customer?
it's true. 100%. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, and that kind of brings us into our next topic with Reddit. I mean, Google knows that people want real answers. Google knows it doesn't want that spammy stuff anymore. And Google has the data to back it up. I don't quote me on the number, but I think like 55 million searches or something were discovered this last year with Reddit at the end of it, which is just insane. But it's true. Like everyone I know does it. Google, just to kind of clear it up, Google actually is paying $60 million a year now to access Reddit content at a quicker rate. So be able to access their API faster, get the data quicker. And then the next day they filed for an IPO, which is kind of funny. So, but yeah, that's given us a perspectives tab on Google. So now when you Google something that requires some personal opinion, you might see a perspectives tab. And oftentimes you're going to see Reddit in those results. So I know I use Reddit. Manny, I know you use Reddit. What do you think of this? Is this kind of a good thing for you? Do you feel like this is Google's going in the right direction?
Absolutely. I think Reddit's becoming everybody's go-to, especially since there's little subreddits, and you can get local within each city, within each town, in each city, and people can get real life results. You can ask about the best food in town, and along with what Google provides, it will give you the best results with Reddit, where you can see what the like local favorites are for food places like that. Um, Even if you're looking for reviews on some kind of product, you can have the general reviews on Google itself, but Reddit people will tell you about their experiences more in depth about different products. So there's more trust in Reddit as a community, I feel like.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it honestly reminds me of back in the day, Yahoo Answers, if you guys remember that. But it just feels like that, where it's like everybody wants, a real answer, a communal answer for this thing that we're all experiencing. And like I think we've gotten so there's been so much fluff around it, like with the recipes, for example, having to scroll past a million, like someone's life story just to get to somebody's like, a fourth cup of sugar or whatever it's supposed to say. Those kinds of things are just really taking a toll on us as users. And in this information age, we download this data so quickly in our brains, and like we're on TikTok and we absorb info in like 30 seconds, and we don't have the bandwidth anymore to just deal with the ads and everything else that comes along with this stuff. So I think that Reddit is just they've already capitalized on, I don't want to say that, but they've got the attention of these people because it's so simple. There's not a ton of ads. I mean, barely. There's a few here and there, but it's really rare I see an ad that disrupts my experience on Reddit, right? So I think that's part of their success. And like you said, it's a community driven answer. And I think, yeah, I agree. They're in the right. Google's seeing this and going in the right direction on this. It's the future. So, and not just Reddit, they have Quora as well. There's a couple other, forum based, community driven answer based websites they're working with, but obviously Reddit being the most popular and well known one. So, yeah. Cool. So, obviously we're going to see what happens with Reddit, but we're still figuring out how to leverage that for some of our local service-based clients. Some of the ideas we had was, for example, if you are a plumber, let's just say, and, somebody's asking the best way to unclog a drain, you might provide your expertise and say, yeah, the best thing to do is, get the debris out using this and use this, or, whatever tips and tricks that you can add, and then link that back to your blog. Be like, by the way, I wrote a cool blog article on how to do this if you're interested, but be helpful. Don't be spammy. Don't be, that weird company that's trying to get clicks or like just annoying. Really give valuable information, and then kind of, you can, a small plug is not always frowned upon if it's valuable. So, that's kind of my opinion on Reddit and how we're kind of moving towards it. But there's going to be a lot of changes there, so I'm sure you'll hear more about that from us. Real quick, I think we should pivot into one of the biggest updates we've seen. This happened mostly in March, is the Google Business and Maps update. So I'm quickly going to I'm actually going to share from Barry Schwartz over at SE Roundtable. He's provided a really good guide on some of these things that have been, seen out in the wild. So let me share my screen with everyone. And for those listening, we'll include a link to this at the bottom of the podcast so you can check it out yourself. All right. So up at the top here, it starts with the Google social media update. So on Google Business Profile, now we've been seeing in the panel directly. Again, this is new stuff we're seeing. It's not officially released. It's just they're beta testing some of this. But social media updates right in the Google Business Profile. You can see Facebook posts being added as like a carousel feed, which is really interesting. So social is becoming more important for SEO. Before, I'll say this, before SEO, didn't care too much about social media in the sense that it's more of a relevancy aspect, besides like the backlinks and a couple of little things. But, it wasn't necessarily the main focus because search engines were still, heavily based on like Google and Bing and others. But now with this update, it's showing that, because of the changes Google's making, it sees everything being shifted in more of a consumer, user driven aspect when it comes to content. I think this stuff is going to be more important. So update your Facebook, update your Instagram. If it's connected to your GBP, make sure that the stuff looks good. So here's another example. If they're just showing it, it's like a square carousel post, a little caption, and a link to your Facebook profile, which is kind of cool. And other things we've been seeing on the Google Business Profile. Again, this is coming from SE Roundtable's interface updates. The Google Business Profile has been shifting in layout. So they'll remove the reviews and the ratings, for example, at one point. We've seen it with the name move down. So like they'll put the name up, below the image or above the image. They'll change, some of the rich media that's being pulled in, like TripAdvisor and stuff like that. But yeah, so a lot of stuff. There's probably been 4 or 5 different like Google Business Profile results we've seen that have really been shifting and moving around. So that's going to be interesting to see how it lands. The other thing is that they've been using AI as just a user experience to answer questions for Q&A. So in this example that we're showing on screen, this person asked about customer service for a business, and AI on the Google Business Profile automatically featured 2 bad reviews, which is interesting. So some significant changes. It feels like almost like Panda and Penguin changes back in the day with those algorithm updates. So this is a big one. And I'll finally leave us with this, the latest updates card in the local panel. So not only are they bringing in social media posts from your existing profiles like Facebook and Instagram, they're also taking your Google business posts and showcasing them in a way that feels like social media, meaning you can scroll through them, you can swipe through. And it's going to become a different platform. They really, really want people to, be able to use Google like any other platform. Um, and then this one we haven't explored too much. There is a version of Maps that's expanding local packs. So before it would show you just like a small map in a section of where you're at, but now you're able to expand that and expand your horizon a little bit, so it'll bring up more profiles for you, which is kind of interesting. That's a new one. Not too worried about that quite yet, but it's probably going to affect how the map packs show in the results. So we're keeping an eye on some of these things. It's definitely something to look out for. If you're a small business owner, if you have a Google business profile, definitely keeping up on your latest updates, your social, and just making sure it looks really good is going to be key right now. So
Well, and I think it circles back really great to what you were talking about before and what I see inside of the marketing trends that are happening now. It's about how can you help answer the questions that customers are bringing out there? Why not meet them on forums like Reddit, like you were mentioning before, and find helpful information to provide for them, and really come from the expert approach? How are you an expert in your field? And going to the platforms that people are on and helping them with the information, like you were mentioning the plumber. Something as far as like, how does that now work for your social media? How are you giving tips, information on there that are useful and helpful for the customers, to make more authentic engagement instead of just the cookie cutter
yeah,
approach of just posting to post?
absolutely, for sure. No, I think it goes across the board. I mean, just really think about the content you're putting out there and make sure it's valuable, regardless of the platform, and you'll be successful. So, um, yeah, I think the last thing I wanted to bring up in terms of Google updates and some of the new stuff, is the SGE update, which is the Search Generative Experience update. So that is truly the newest AI update from Google. It's not released. We're currently seeing it being beta tested in a few places. Um, and actually, Manny, I think you're the only one on our team right now being beta tested. So I'm curious to see if you've had any experiences with that, or if you've seen anything crazy or weird. I know I've seen some stuff on the forums that are interesting.
Oh yeah, well, the main big difference is just AI suggestions, which personally I believe they've been pretty beneficial. Like today, I searched up what's the best shoe cleaner, something super generic, and the first result was AI generated, and it gave me the top like 5 different shoe cleaners. Doesn't say that they're the best, but it says some popular options include Reshoevnator, Signature Shoe Cleaner. And on the right hand side, it gives you a bunch of different articles that you can look at that explain different shoe cleaners as well. Scroll down a little bit and you'll see the top results with the best ratings as well for you to consider. Scroll down a little more, and that's when you start falling into just like places like Amazon. But I think the best convenience is what Google is really trying to push for, especially with our shorter attention spans these days, for sure.
No, I think you're right. I mean, it realizes the benefit to AI. It knows that people are using ChatGPT to figure out, just like, tell me what the best one is. I don't even want to bother searching. Just tell me. Um, so some of that stuff, I think they're realizing they need to get on. And they have Gemini. Before it was Bard, now it's Gemini, which I have used in the past, and it's okay, but it's, frankly, in my opinion, it's pretty behind in terms of language models compared to ChatGPT 4 right now. So, but that being said, I think there's some things that it's beneficial for, like you said, the convenience of being able to do that. There's sometimes, like I saw on the forum, there was a college student, and he was trying to write a paper for or an essay or something for his class or whatever, and he was trying to Google a really simple question or answer a question, and like his results kept showing up as AI generated, and he was kind of worried, like, if his paper would get flagged in some form or fashion. I mean, that is a little bit of an extreme case, but I just think it's interesting that Google doesn't allow you to opt out of this. And I also find it interesting that they're probably going to start charging for people to use AI because they can't really advertise using this platform. So this is probably another podcast we could talk about, but the pay-per-click ads, there was like over 1 billion pay-per-click ads that were like cut off because of spam or changes they made or something like that. So Google's taking a hit in revenue when it comes to ad spend, I think, and they're trying to figure out how to monetize the platform in a different way. And I think that what's going to happen is with this SGE update, people can opt into AI for a small fee per month. It allows them the convenience to use AI on Google, and it's like no ads, right? No ads, use AI and pay us a small fee. They're going to generate revenue. They won't have ads, but they're somebody, instead of us using it for free, it's like a premium service at that point. And if you use it for free, you're going to be inundated with ads and things like that. So that's how I see it going. That's just my assumption, but we'll see what happens. I'm interested to see how AI and Google change our experience when it comes to search. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm also excited to see how that's going to change the landscape of marketing, because if, for instance, tomorrow Google decided to run with that's how we're going to do it, then how would that change their Google Ads platform? And how would a multi-million-dollar company react to that? Now, I
Right.
think in a way it's going to level the playing field for what the results are. And back to the
Mhm.
whole kind of point, being more authentic is going to be a key selling point. Actually having a product that works and solves the problem is a key selling point, and has actually a lot of user generated feedback is going to be a key selling point. But I'll be for on the side of that, because I actually want a world that looks like that.
Mhm.
I've
Right.
had those deliveries that have come in the mail that I probably didn't read far enough on the actual reviews, and have been disappointed. So
Right.
I think it might be a good change, but it is going to change the landscape of how companies are going to market, how they're going to spend revenue online. And ultimately, it's going to really put an impact on the research and development department, because how are you going to create better products now?
Absolutely, totally. I mean, we're gonna find out how it shakes out soon. Like I said, I think this update's fully coming out in May, and I'm sure. I think in May is when Google has their like product showcase. I forget what it's called, but they do that. So I'm sure that during that presentation, we're gonna find out quite a bit. So yeah. I think that kind of gives us a good place to stop for the day. I just wanted to give everyone, a quick thank you for joining us. Obviously, we're creating some more content, getting back into the swing of things. So you will hear from us again. We'll be back. At Wired Insights, we offer a series of solutions from recruiting software to SEO and consulting. And if you ever have a question or just want to get to know us, feel free to check us out at wiredinsights.com. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks.